story time of how we found out my mom's ex-boyfriend was a registered pedophile. Literally. Like, no joke. Like, dead, you can Google this man. This is traumatic for so many reasons, mainly because we were in such a vulnerable time. Me and my mom were both homeless at the time, and we weren't living together. We had to, like, sleep at separate people's places because, like, we needed to live, like, we needed to exist somewhere. The plan was to honestly, like, find a place together and, like, figure it out together again. I met this man on Plenty of Fish. If you're older, please don't go on Plenty of Fish. These people are creepy. Because my mom was lonely because she had just kind of broken up with her boyfriend of, like, literally 15 years, who was my stepdad, and she was just kind of looking for companionship, and she met this guy who just, like, promised her the world. I tell you, this man was, like, Harvard educated. He was, like, a part of a very prestigious family. I won't say the last name because you'll know the family. The Harvard, he was, like, a professor at a college near us, like, one of the biggest colleges, like, in the United States. He basically just promised her the world. Like, immediately off the bat, he was like, I want to get married and travel together, and I want to buy a house for us, like, all this stuff, and, like, basically solved all my mom's problems, like, in a split second, just promising her the world. And she was like, there can't be anything wrong with this man, like, he's perfect. And I remember thinking, like, there's gotta be something wrong, like, that my mom doesn't deserve a perfect angel of a man because my mom is literally perfect, but, like, this man, like, there had to be something wrong with him. Like, my mom is, like, a biker chick, like, likes to smoke and have a good time, and this man is, like, I just don't know, they just didn't make sense. This is while my mom was going through a little bit of, like, a psychotic break, so she was very vulnerable. Like, you could tell her anything and she'd believe it. Immediately, this guy starts trying to get, like, close with me and close with the guy I was dating and, like, close with my sister. He starts reading into conspiracies with my mom, and, like, he starts smoking. Like, they're having, like, this just, like, very weird relationship very fast to, like, immediately buying her a house. Like, honestly, we started to feel like this is weird. So one day someone Googles his name. Guess what comes up? An arrest. An arrest. No one, like, cops pretend to be little girls on websites and then they offer to meet up, and then when they do meet up, they arrest the person. Yeah, that happened to him. And he was a professor at a college, so obviously he got fired from his job permanently. At this time, my mom was already roped into literally, like, going on a trip to Italy with him and buying a house with him. Basically, he starts trying to gaslight her into believing, like, that's not how it went, like, it was a whole different thing, like, they had me all wrong, that's why I was acquitted. It's like, no, actually, they just give you a plea deal because you're rich. He basically just immediately took control of both of our lives. Like, he co-signed on a car for me and, like, was getting her passport to go to Italy. I'm, like, fully convinced he would have kidnapped her. My mom was completely gaslit by this guy until one day he said some really weird shit to her. I don't even want to say what he said because it's really triggering, but he said some stuff that was basically like, yeah, I am exactly what they thought I was. My mom threatened to, like, you know, like, shank him. He got her arrested, she went to court, she got acquitted, everything was fine. Ever since, he has relentlessly harassed me online, and he's already married to another woman who is doing all this same stuff too.
Am I wrong for not attending the engagement dinner my future in-laws threw for me after my fiancé hid my engagement ring? My fiancé proposed to me days ago. He has this habit of joking around and pulling pranks from time to time. It bothers me sometimes, but I try to have patience. His family wanted to throw us an engagement party at a restaurant. I heard his mom talk about how expensive this place was and how much money they paid for reservations, so this clearly was a huge deal for them. My fiancé and I were getting ready, and I noticed my engagement ring wasn't where I left it before I entered the shower. I freaked out and looked for it everywhere. I asked my fiancé about it, and he said he didn't see it. I freaked out and was running out of time for the party. He sat there watching me, almost losing my mind trying to find it, to the point where I started crying because without the ring, I couldn't show up to the party. I kept thinking about what his family would say and how they think I was irresponsible to lose a ring that is somewhat expensive. I gave up looking and sat down and just cried in frustration. Next thing I knew, my fiancé was standing in front of me laughing with his hand extended to me with the ring in it. I asked where he found it, and he could barely speak and say that he hid it from me last minute before the party as a prank. I was in shock, but I just sort of blew up on him and started yelling, saying that he hid the ring, made me freak out for 2 hours, and almost made me miss the party. He was like, relax, it was a prank, okay? Don't make a big deal out of it and ruin the evening. I told him I wasn't going to the party and that if his family asked, I would tell them it was because he hid my ring. He freaked out and started begging me to let it go and just go with him, but I refused and went into the bathroom, took my medication, and stayed there. He lost it and kept saying that I blew this out of proportion and that I ruined my own party and cost his family a lot of money and disrespected them by not attending. His family found out and they were mad at him, but also me for choosing to not attend and getting over it, but I was in a horrible state emotionally and couldn't handle being in public after what had happened.
If you were a gifted child growing up, or adults told you that you were a gifted child, and then later they were like, never mind. I feel like depending on how they handled that, that could possibly be a lowercase t trauma for you, or an uppercase t trauma. I don't know your life. But I was thinking about it recently because every few years I pick up my guitar and I try to learn how to play it, and then I get discouraged after a few months and I give up. And I was doing that again. I was practicing my guitar. Every time I picked it up, I got this really dark feeling, and I thought it was discouragement, and I was like, I should give up. And then I realized that I wasn't feeling discouraged, I was feeling shame that I'd been practicing for 3 months and wasn't as good as I wanted to be. And I thought, that's weird. You shouldn't feel shame when you're learning something new. And so I dug back in the files of my brain trying to figure out when the first time I felt shame while learning was. And I realized it was in the second grade. In the first grade, my test scores were really, really high. and my teacher went to my parents, and she was like, hey, we should put her in this special advanced program. And my parents came to me, and you know, it's like no fault of the parents, but when you get selected for a program like this, you can tell how proud of you your parents are. You can tell that they're proud, that they feel special, and you want to keep making them proud. And they came to me and said, you want to be in this program? It's going to be a little bit harder than what you've been doing. And I said, yes, absolutely. And they put me in this special challenge program for the 2nd grade. And almost immediately after getting there, my 2nd grade teacher made it very clear that she didn't think I could cut it. She didn't want me there. She wasn't going to have me in the program next year. She wanted to know what my test scores were. She wanted to have me tested again. She would hold me in from recess to work on things because she didn't think that I was keeping up well enough with the other students. And I was so embarrassed, and I felt so much shame, and it wasn't even my fault. And the other students, I got picked on a lot when I was in 2nd grade. And I don't think that they knew that the teacher was bullying me also. But I connected those two things in my brain. I thought they also think I'm too dumb to be here. They don't think I'm special enough. And I realized that I've carried that with me my whole life. Anyway, I just thought that maybe I'm not the only one who has felt this way in my life, and you shouldn't feel shame while learning new things. If an educator is deliberately making you feel shame, then go find a new one.
So I was a server and I was terrible. I've noticed that some people have like a natural gift for serving, like they walk up to tables and know what to do. I didn't have that. When I was talking to tables, the only small talk I could think of was like, hey guys, what do you want? I love you guys. A big problem that I had is that I've been a vegetarian my entire life, so I don't know meat things. I don't get it. Like one time I asked a family how they wanted their chicken sandwiches cooked. And they were like, just cooked, probably. And that's when I learned you're not supposed to ask that right before you serve a family their food. I don't think I have object permanence. So if I don't see you, you're gone. You don't exist to me. You're not in this restaurant, you could be anywhere. Do you know how many empty promises I made? Like, yeah, I'm definitely gonna get you some ketchup for those fries. No, I'm in the back, babe. You don't exist to me anymore. I spent 96% of my time in that restaurant just trying to get the chefs to like me again after bringing in something bizarre for your 6-year-old kid, like macaroni and cheese with no cheese. That's not a thing, Brenda. So I'd bring in like weird food for your kids, and then I'd go in the back and be like, do you guys still like me here? Or do you talk about me behind my back when I'm not here? Also, everyone's walking so fast, and I never knew where everyone was going. Everyone was like, oh, he's zigzagging. So I was like, me too. I would just zigzag around my tables, not make eye contact with them, just in case I forgot their honey mustard or something. All I would do the entire time I worked there was walk fast. That way everyone assumes that way that you're doing something super important. All I was ever doing was getting fries from the back. To eat for myself. I wanted to eat the fries. Anytime the managers would come out, I'd be like, suddenly like writing things, typing things, writing and typing, thinking, I'm looking at my tables. Everything looks good, boss. The managers will be like, whoa, Becca's like working super hard today. I'm gonna stay away from her. She doesn't have a table yet, but she's getting ready. And I respect that. And I was a server for 3 years. And I only ever got written up twice. So yeah.